Hello and welcome back to another classic WoW video. So not long ago we made an advanced phase 5 gold making video, where you can invest in certain items now to sell when phase 5 comes out, to take advantage of certain quests that require you to turn in materials for badges. And if you remember, the quests to obtain epic items actually require Exalted Reputation with the Cenarion Circle in order to actually do the quest, meaning that raiders or people who want some catch-up gear actually needs reputation as well. Now, there are a couple of ways to gain reputation with the Cenarion Circle, like you will get roughly 3000 reputation every single clear of the AQ raid, maybe it's closer to 2000, you can do some quests in Silithus, and you can farm Twilight mobs in Silithus. And this is what we'll do today, because when you farm those Twilight mobs you can also obtain Encrypted Twilight Texts, which you can turn in for more reputation, and those encrypted texts are tradable. Once again, people are lazy and are willing to pay gold in order to advance, and this farm will be somewhat limited depending on whether or not servers are or will be layered in phase 5. There's a finite amount of Twilight camps available to farm, so the earlier you start farming and the more Twilight texts you gather up before phase 5, the better prepared you are for the actual launch of phase 5. Now, before we talk about the farm itself, let's just have a brief chat about why you would want Cenarion Circle Reputation, and what the benefits are of getting that reputation early. First of all, there is the reputation requirement for doing the quests I discussed earlier in my phase 5 advanced gold making video, where you need revered and exalted reputation in order to obtain the best items, some of which are actually best in slot. The Cenarion Circle offers different rewards for different stages of reputation, like a fire resistance enchant on cloaks at friendly, nature resistance enchant on cloaks at honored, Cenarion herbalism bags at friendly, and several different nature resistance sets from friendly to revered for professions, unlocking more patterns with higher reputation. Having reputation early will allow you to have monopoly on these items early on, but again, beware of competitors doing the exact same thing you're doing, and popular items like the Cenarion herbalism bag only requires friendly in order to obtain. Okay, let's talk about this farm. This farm takes place in the southwestern or western part of Silithus. Basically, there's 3 camps, and they are pretty well marked on the Silithus map as well. You have this camp southwest where I'm farming, and another 2 camps just north of it, pretty much in the western part of Silithus. The very easy way to explain this farm is that you're farming for Cenarion Circle Reputation, which is needed for patterns and quest deliveries for phase 5. Pretty much like you need the Sandalari Tribute reputation in Sulgurub to turn in the tokens from there to obtain your gear, you also need Revered with the Cenarion Circle to turn in the badges there to get your gear as well. From this farm you're getting reputation just from killing the mobs, which is great if you need the reputation yourself, but you also get the Encrypted Twilight Texts, which you can turn in for even more rep. And here's the thing, those texts are sellable, and they will sell to lazy people that have a lot of cash and will just cash in for reputation instead of farming for hours upon hours. It's pretty much the phase 5 Cenarion Circle version of the Sulgurub coins and Biju. The more advanced version of this farm is that you can also obtain these Twilight robes and Twilight cultist gear, which once you have 3 pieces you can turn yourself into a Twilight cultist, and then you can summon bosses. You can sell these pieces of gear, the Twilight gear, on the auction house, but you can also keep multiple sets and sell them in general chat in Silithus at phase 5 release. Or you could use them, summon the bosses, and sell the boss loot, which is basically tokens you can redeem for bags of loot and reputation. This boss loot is called Abyssal Signets and Abyssal Crests. I also believe you can get some Abyssal Scepters after a while, and these are also sellable through the auction house, and you can obtain a decent chunk of gold from these as well. By turning in these items and summoning stronger bosses, you can also obtain the Abyssal Scepters like I just mentioned, which you can turn in for an item called the Chest of Spoils, which is basically a goodie bag that contains items like Essence of Water, Healing and Mana Potions, Nature Protection Potions, a random blue item, and a nice chunk of gold. Up to 90 gold if we are to assume the values in Classic will be the same as they were in Vanilla. Summoning bosses does have a cooldown however, so beware of that. You also need to turn in 3 Abyssal Crests and a large Brilliant Shard in order to obtain the medallion needed to access the Windstone to summon the bosses, but this is advanced information that might require a specific guide on how to summon the bosses. Basically just loot stuff and sell everything that is sellable if you're here for gold. Just know that everything is used for something and is therefore valuable. But back to the basics of the farm. According to some of my guildmates and friends on the server, this is a roughly 75 gold per hour farm with the current prices of these items. Right now you can sell the text on the auction house for between 2 gold and 2.5 gold each, and people are speculating that they will double or triple in price, but again, that is pure speculation. Stay Safe, a fairly popular Twitch streamer, said, and I quote, "They would double, triple, or maybe even quadruple in price when Phase 5 hits. Exactly how much they go for will depend on a couple of factors, like for example knowledge of the farm, how many people farm this, and whether or not layering is on at the launch of Phase 5, and if it's permanently farmed by bots or not. But basically, farm them now and keep them for Phase 5 if you want gold. If you are here for reputation, you'll want to be in a 5-man group, like I am right now, because you get reputation per kill, so the faster your group kills stuff, the more reputation you will obtain. You will, however, obtain less gold per hour because you will kill mobs faster than they respawn, and if you're here solo you kill things twice as fast, because you always have mobs up and you can just chain pull. If you also have better gear than I have on my hunter, which is dungeon gear, with 1 piece of giant stalker from that one molten core raid I did, you can also kill each mob way faster than I do as well, which will once again really increase the gold per hour you obtain. So why do this farm now instead of when Phase 5 comes, since the texts might increase in price in Phase 5? Well, it's really simple. First of all, the text becoming more public and more useful will increase the demand for the text and therefore also the popularity of the farm. Next up, there are more people just passively in Silithus because of the AQ events and everything going on there in Phase 5, so more people will be killing the mobs in Silithus and looking for gold farms that are easily accessible, which this one is. Next up, there's only 3 locations here, or 3 Twilight camps, so when this farm becomes more public, more attractive, and more accessible, it will be so difficult to farm here and you'll be forced to compete for mobs and wait for respawns. One thing that could counteract this would be layering, which I kinda do think will make a return for Phase 5 as well, since servers obviously couldn't even handle the release of Sulgurub. How will they handle the AQ events and the entire server being in Silithus? How's that going to work? You could also potentially scout for some Black Lotus and Herb nodes, maybe some mining nodes as well depending on your profession, to earn even more gold per hour, plus you can incorporate the Sandworm meat farm here as well, since there are some borers very close to the Twilight camps as well. So basically you have lots of options here, but since this video is about the Twilight camps and the encrypted texts, I'm not going to talk too much about the other options, I just thought I'd mention it briefly. One good thing about this farm is the flexibility of it, because once again it can be combined with other nearby farms. You can do it solo, or you can do it in a group, and you can do it as any class. There really are no restrictions here, which I think makes it a really good farm. Wanna farm here with friends? You can. Wanna farm here alone? You can. Wanna make gold as a warrior? You can. Now once again, if you want me to make an in-depth video about the summoning of the bosses, and how you can make gold that way, which I briefly explained in this video, but seeing as it is quite the advanced process, especially if you've never done it before, I think it requires a full video on itself, so let me know in the comment section below if you want that guide. All of this is very lucrative for Cenarion Circle Reputation and gold, and if you are a raider and you know you'll want the Cenarion Circle Reputation in Phase 5, this farm right here could be the perfect one for you, as it nets a decent-ish gold per hour, and you get reputation for every single kill as well, so you're basically hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, if I'm using that sentence correctly. Gold farms and information like this is always shared on Patreon before I make the videos public, so if you do find my videos interesting and you want access to gold making info before others, Patreon is a great way to support me as a creator, while also obtaining some benefits yourself. As always, if you don't want to or can't support me on Patreon, simply slapping a like on the videos and leaving a comment also helps me out a bunch, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me understand which videos you guys like and which ones you don't like. I am actually so hyped for Phase 5, there are so many ways to make gold. I can finally sell off some of my investments and hopefully make a bunch of profit, and there are so many rare gold farms that are actually lucrative in the open world, so I don't have to constantly run dungeons, which I think is perfect. Phase 5 and Phase 6 also brings with it the things I didn't experience myself back in vanilla, so it's a little bit extra interesting for me. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all of my patrons for your support. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.